We're talking today with Glenn Steady, President and CEO of Quadrant EPP. Glenn, thank you for taking the time today.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what Quadrant does. You're in the plastics business.
Yes, Quadrant actually got started here in Reading, Pennsylvania with Louis Stott, the founder of Polymer Corporation, well known and footprinted here for more than going almost 70 years now. One of the pioneers in the plastics company, and had some technologies good for some of the more advanced industries, and we've built on that over the successive years such that we can service a wide variety of industries with the highest performance polymeric materials and demanding applications.
Now you're a global company now, is that right?
Yeah, these days we have, for our size, quite a global footprint. We have operations, 29 distinct operations all over the world: Europe, Asia, Africa, India.
Talk about how that growth of the company happened. You've been here for how long?
15 years.
And I would imagine you've seen a fair amount of change in that time.
Yeah, since I joined in as the president and CEO 15 years ago, coming from the parent company at that time, we had quite a good market position established transatlantic throughout Europe and North America at that point. But our largest clients are large multinationals from Intel, Motorola, Airbus, Boeing, Caterpillar, Deere, name the industry, and were involved. And they were moving their manufacturing on a more localized basis to service their customers there.
This was the whole offshoring of U.S. manufacturing jobs going.
Yeah, the larger OEMs are customers going that way, and to being dependent on certain suppliers who had established credibility and performance characteristics in supply chain with them, their preference was to have those same supply lines established when they reached a certain point locally. So we saw that as a distinct opportunity, not as a threat to our U.S. manufacturing, but actually to secure it. There are certain things that we, even in this tough economy that has prevailed, and more difficult for U.S. companies to actually embrace that and utilize it to strengthen what we can keep here. So there's certain parts of our business that has prospered very well here in America and continues to grow. In other parts that weren't a good fit, that were better suited for some other areas. So we try to use the strengths of each of these 29 facilities to service global customers on a worldwide basis.
So you have manufacturing operations here and elsewhere in the world?
Yes, all over those places.
Where would you say, what's the breakdown? Is it 50-50 U.S. versus?
It's about 1/3 U.S., 1/3 Europe, probably 15 to 20% in Asia these days, inclusive Japan plus China, Korea, and then the other 15% India, South Africa, South America.
And what kind of things do you make?
We make a semi-finished good primarily. We do some finished products, but also the raw material that goes into the finished product that is machine stock for the machining industry. So it's used just like metals, like if you take Carpenter or any of the large steel companies, they make large plates, rods, and tubes out of metallics. We do exactly the same out of high-performance plastics, and then they're machined by lathes and mills into the final precision type parts.
And so what kinds of things are the end product?
Can be a de-icing seal on an airplane. It can be an artificial knee or hip implant in the orthopedic industry. It can be test sockets and polishing rings for the semiconductor industry, or seals on big compressors in the chemical industry. We're highly fragmented and service a wide array of end-use industries.
Are there some sectors that are particularly strong right now, and are there some that you have concerns about?
Yeah, part of the sustainability and the success we've managed to have over this prolonged period is because we're participating in a more fragmented thing. We don't depend on any one industry rather significantly, and because of our global footprint, we don't depend on one economy or another, one currency situation. Typically, we don't have the high highs because there's a soft spot somewhere in the world or in some industry, and we don't have the low lows for the same reason. So last year, for example, the medical industry and the semicon industries were going through some of its slowdown and correction, part of it being the wait-and-see attitude of the medical industry for Obamacare and what it meant. And while the construction business rebound, where it had been flat for 2008, 2009, started to show some
Just like
signs of life.
having a diversified stock
It's
portfolio.
it's a natural hedge, yep. It also does the same thing for us currency-wise, because we have, as we mentioned, the turnover, some amount based in euro exposures, which go up and down, some in yen, some in dollars. So that helps our natural hedge in terms of currency exposures.
Do you have defense contract work?
Not very much. We have a small amount of products that go into ordnance, a lot into aerospace, which also finds military type applications.
So, so we had this shrinkage in GDP in the fourth quarter. What's your sense of what that means for the 2013 economy?
We're cautiously optimistic. There's certainly some challenges. There has been a slowdown in Asia. After Fukushima in Japan, there was a return of the malaise in the local economy there. The U.S. is actually the bright spot at the moment, particularly being fueled and helped by a tailwind of low energy cost. This is something that people should really take note of. There's some projections that suggest the U.S. will be the lowest cost of energy, which will help certainly manufacturing by as early as 2017. And it's very visible now that the costs are much higher in Europe and in Japan and parts of China as related to energy-intensive parts of manufacturing.
A lot of that's driven by natural gas.
Correct. Yep, and the fracking type of oil. Also the alternate energy. There's a fair amount, an increasing amount of wind, specifically, more so even than solar. And we participate in those emerging technologies. We have a lot of parts in windmills, as in the solar industry.
Any concern about rising oil prices having any kind of an impact on your costs?
Oil prices, I think, affect probably everybody's business to one extent of ours notwithstanding. So everything from transport to raw materials, which are petrol-based in large part, do have a factor on there. And most competitive, intense businesses are similar, then the ability to get along those price increases are quite difficult. Consumer-driven economies.
Glenn, we'll let that be the final word.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.